Hi everyone, my name is Monique, and today I'm going to be showing you how to play a game called Metrorunner, designed by Stephen Kerr and published by Thunderworks Games, who are helping sponsor this video. In Metrorunner, 1 to 5 players compete to become the top hacker in Mirror City by navigating the city's metro network and completing jobs, while gaining influence and notoriety along the way. The game takes about 30 to 90 minutes to play, depending on player count, so let's start with setup. To set up the game, place the main game board in the center of the table with the appropriate side face up, as indicated by the player count at the top right-hand corner. One side is for a 1 to 3 player game, while the other is for 4 to 5 players. Then, place all cubes and credit tokens in a supply next to the board. Shuffle the job cards that show this backing and reveal 4 cards to form the offer, placing the rest of the job deck face down. Then, place the 4 contract cards face up above the job cards and randomly assign the 10 contract tokens to the white spaces. Next, shuffle the network cards with this backing and place them into 2 even decks face up on the card spaces of the board. Then, randomly place the 9 Panop tiles in the center of the board. As for player setup, each player chooses a runner board and takes the runner figure, influence and notoriety markers in their player color, as well as their 2 upgrade tokens, which should be placed on the corresponding spaces of their board with the locked side face up. Give each player a random character card, which they should place near their runner board. Each player should also take their starting cubes, as shown on their runner boards, 1 credit token, 1 random job card from the job deck, as well as their starting job in their player color. Then, each player places their runner figure on the hack action space in the district matching their player color, as well as their influence markers stacked in any order on the start space of the influence track and the notoriety markers on the notoriety track. Randomly determine start player and give them the start player token, and then you are ready to play. In Metrorunner, players will be taking turns moving around the board, collecting resource cubes, and most importantly, completing jobs. Job cards look like this. The top left shows the district that the job is in, as well as the combination of cubes you'll need to spend in order to complete the job. In addition, each job will grant you an immediate reward, track advancements, an ongoing ability, as well as score you a certain number of points at the end of the game. So you'll need to be as efficient as possible when running around the city in order to complete these jobs and use them to your advantage. On your turn, you'll always start by moving around the city. The board is split into 5 separate districts that are each represented by a specific color, and each district is home to several locations. When moving, players move 1 or more spaces clockwise following the arrows on the board. Moving up to 2 spaces is free, but you may move additional spaces by paying 1 cube per space. Now in this game, whenever you're required to pay cubes, you have the option of paying up to 1 job card from your hand in place of 1 cube. And players may never share space, so you would skip over and not count opponents' spaces when moving. As an example, if I wanted to move 4 spaces, I could spend 1 cube and 1 job card from my hand in place of the second cube. And I'd skip over any opponent's pieces along the way. And once you've finished moving, you'll then choose to either take a district action or a location action. Taking a district action allows you to either collect a district asset by gaining 1 cube matching the district's color that you're in, or complete a job matching your current district by paying its cost to the supply. Spaces that are along the border between 2 districts are considered to be in both, so you may choose either district when taking a district action from these spaces. Then, after taking a district action, you'll also take all of the cubes from the district's resource space, which will accumulate throughout the game, as you'll see later. And any cubes gained are stored on your player board, but keep in mind that players have a maximum limit of 10 cubes. When completing a job, you'll first pay the required cubes shown at the top left-hand corner to the supply, optionally substituting up to 1 cube with a job card from your hand. Then, gain the rewards listed, which will typically consist of gaining cubes, credit tokens, or brute force tokens, gaining a job card from the offer or top of the deck, and advancing on either the influence or notoriety track. Both tracks affect a certain action in the game and also score players points at the end of the game depending on their final positions. But once a player reaches the end of a track, they can no longer advance further. Completed job cards also provide players with ongoing abilities, such as gaining an additional cube each time the player gains a cube of a specific color, the ability to pay a specific colored cube in place of another cube, as well as paying 1 fewer cube of the depicted color when paying a resource cost. Once you've paid the cost and gained any rewards, tuck the job card in one of the 3 slots at the bottom of your player board and gain the benefit listed above the slot, which will either be a track advancement or the choice between gaining 1 credit or 2 cubes of any color. Now each slot can hold up to 3 cards, and at the end of the game, each slot of cards can be used to complete one of the 4 contracts by having the same combination of districts among its completed job cards. Now keep in mind that all players can complete each contract, but only up to 3 contracts per player. At the end of the game, the player with the most completed jobs matching their home district will score 5 points. There are also freelance jobs that don't correspond to a specific district, but may be completed by taking a district action in any district. At the end of the game, they can be used to fulfill any single requirement on a contract card, but do not count towards district majority scoring. And starting jobs act like normal job cards, except if they are ever to be discarded, you instead return them back to the box. Now, instead of taking a district action, you can take a location action, which is represented by the icon on the space your figure is in. First, we have the Acquire Jobs action that allows you to draw 2 new job cards. In this game, when drawing a job card for any reason, you may choose from those face up in the offer or from the top of the draw deck or one of each, but the offer does not refill until you've finished drawing. Next, we have the Contact Agents action that allows you to gain 1, 2, or 3 cubes of your choice, depending on how far you've advanced on the Notoriety track. At the start of the game, you'll only gain 1 cube when taking this action. But once you've reached the 3rd space, you'll take 2 cubes. And at the 6th space, you'll take 3 cubes when taking this action. And you can choose cubes of any color combination. In 4 or 5 player games, there's also a Collect Assets location space that gains you 2 cubes of the shown color. And finally, we have the Hack location action, represented by this symbol. Taking this action allows you to manipulate the Panop tiles in the center of the board in order to hack one of the 2 available network cards and gain rewards. The Panop tiles represent the 3x3 grid on each network card, and each grid contains 2 core hack nodes represented by green circles, as well as 2 bonus hacks, a blue alpha and pink beta node. In order to hack the network, you'll need to connect the 2 core nodes via a single continuous path along the Panop tiles. When taking this action, you may first optionally cycle a network card by placing one of the 2 face-up cards on the bottom of its deck, revealing a new one. Afterwards, declare which of the 2 face-up cards you'll be attempting. You may manipulate the Panop tiles up to 2 times at no cost, but may pay 1 cube for each additional manipulation. And again, you may pay 1 job card from your hand in place of up to 1 cube spent. For each manipulation, you may rotate a tile 90 degrees in either direction, swap 2 adjacent tiles vertically or horizontally, or shift a tile by removing 1 tile from either end of a row or column and shifting the remaining tiles to fill the space. Then place the remove tile in the new empty space. Now keep in mind that each type of manipulation can be used multiple times in the same hack action. And each player has their own unique way of manipulating the Panop tiles as depicted on their character card. Unlike these standard manipulations, these can only be done once per hack action. Over the course of the game, players may acquire brute force tokens through various rewards. When taking the hack action, a brute force token may be placed over a Panop tile as a free action to temporarily turn it into a 4-way intersection. Only 1 token can be used per hack, and these tokens are returned to the supply once the hack is completed. The one exception is the skull tile. Paths cannot pass through the skull tile, and players are never allowed to place brute force tokens on it, but it is manipulated normally. And if the hack was successful in connecting the 2 core nodes, you gain the core hack reward, which will typically be credit tokens, cubes, or advancing on the Notoriety track. In addition, if you've unlocked the alpha and/or beta upgrades by advancing to their corresponding spaces on the influence track, flip over or remove the corresponding upgrade token from your player board so that you may also complete the alpha and/or beta bonus hacks by connecting their nodes to the main path. Doing so gains you their rewards in addition to the main reward. And after claiming all rewards, flip the network card over and place the indicated cubes from the supply in the resource spaces of the shown districts and discard the network card. If the hack was unsuccessful, cycle the network card that was attempted, placing it on the bottom of the deck and revealing a new one. And if either deck runs out, shuffle the discarded cards to form a new one. In addition to your main action, you may also spend credits to purchase one or more boosts. There are 4 available boosts, and each one may be purchased once per turn. For 1 credit, you can purchase Car Service that lets you move your figure to any unoccupied space instead of resolving your regular move step. And this can be purchased to stay in the same location your figure started in. You can also crash the job boards for 1 credit in order to discard the entire offer to the bottom of the deck in any order and refill it with 4 new job cards. And this can be done before or after acquiring job cards, but not in between. For 2 credits, you can purchase Viral Marketing that allows you to advance the lower of your 2 tracks by 1. And if they're the same level, you may choose which one to advance. And lastly, you can strong arm the locals by paying 2 credits to take a second action that is different from the one you've already taken. This can be the location action, if you didn't already take it, or the other district action, and players on border locations may choose the same action but in a different district. Once you finish taking your action, you then end your turn by discarding down to a hand of 5 cards as well as 10 cubes, placing any discarded cards to the bottom of the job deck. And then play continues this way with the next player in clockwise order. Now there are 3 ways in which players can trigger the end of the game. When a player's influence or notoriety marker crosses the end game line, when a player completes their 9th job card, or when the job deck is empty. But keep in mind that there could still be cards in the offer. Once the game end is triggered, you finish the round so that players have had an equal number of turns. Then, each player takes 1 final turn. Afterwards, the game ends and players go into final scoring. At the end of the game, players will score points for each completed job and each fulfilled contract. And they'll earn points based on their positions on the influence and notoriety tracks. The player with the most completed jobs matching their home district earns 5 points for the district majority scoring, and in the case of a tie, each tied player instead earns 2 points. And finally, you'll add up all of your leftover cubes, job cards, credit tokens, and brute force tokens, and you'll earn 1 point for every 5 left over. And at that point, whoever has the most points wins and is declared the greatest runner in Mirror City. And in the case of a tie, the tied player with the most influence wins. And that's how you play Metrorunner. Now this game also plays solo with a dedicated solo mode that can be found in your rulebook. Now if you have any questions about anything that you saw here today, please feel free to leave me a comment down below and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much for watching the video. I really hope it was helpful. If you enjoyed content like this and would like to see more in the future, please consider subscribing. Thank you. Bye.